So good morning. Today is Friday. Purim Cotton. Tafshin Ayin Daled. We're in Teiras Menachem, Sefer Ma'amorim. Tafshin Daled, Tafshin Yud Beis. And we are in the Mamar of Shabbos Pashas Vayakhel Pashas Chodesh, Tafshin Yud Beis. We are on page Reish Mem Vav, chapter 6. The Rebbe is explaining what was the purpose of Moshe Rabbeinu gathering the Jewish people and the time when Moshe Rabbeinu gathered them. Namely, the day after Yom Kippur, the day after Moshe Rabbeinu came down from Mount Sinai with the second Luchos, and the day after Hashem said to Moshe, Salachti kidvarecha, I have forgiven the Jewish people, as you asked, as you spoke. And Moshe Rabbeinu, the Rebbe says, came to teach the Jewish people how to do tshuva, or rather how to correct the situation, to bring it back to the way it was previously. In other words, the impurity that descended onto into the world as a result of Chet HaEgel, the sin of the golden calf, that needed to be corrected. That was the purpose of that gathering. And he told them a number of things, and the most important thing he told them, the central theme, was Sheishis Yomim Te'osam Malacha Vayem Hashvi Shabbos Shabbosin. That 6 days a week your work should be done automatically, on its own, and on the seventh day you should have a day of complete rest. This wasn't a commandment only to keep Shabbos, because to keep Shabbos the Yidden were already commanded previously, but rather it was instructions how a person needs to work, and therefore how a person needs to rest on Shabbos. That a person needs to work in a way where he doesn't put in his heart and his mind into the work, but rather Yigia Kapecha, his hands, meaning to say that he does what he needs to and as much as he needs to. But he understands that it's from Hashem, and therefore when it comes to Shabbos he's in a state of total tranquility and peace, because already during the week he is in a mini state of Shabbos, as it were. So on Shabbos it's Shabbos Shabbosing. The Rebbe explained that this is also in Avodas Hashem, not only Begashmis but also Beruchnis. You have these two extremes, you have these 2 points where you could do work Te'asa in a way that you need to serve Hashem in a way of Te'asa as if it's happening on its own, meaning to say, not Al Manas L'Kal Pras, not for the purpose of receiving a reward, but rather because that's what Hashem said, accepting Hashem's yoke, because he knows that what he accomplishes and what he achieves is because Hashem, in His kindness, bestows it upon us. Open for me, Hashem says, your heart, your mind, like the opening of a pinhead, and I will open it up for you as wide as the gates of a great big hall. So, and then the Rebbe said there are 2 extremes. That on the one hand, it's only Te'asa, it happens almost automatically, but at the same time it's toil, it's Yigia Kapecha. Why? Because he's not really into it, and something that a person is not into it with the Gishmak, or rather because of his own feeling, then that is a burden. But at the same time, it's B'derech Mamela, it's automatic, because he realizes and recognizes that most of it is because of Hashem, and Hashem's doing, and Hashem bestowing His inspiration and His blessing upon us. So, now we are up to Ois Vav. We actually started Ois Vav already. We'll start from the beginning again. How is all this? Ois Vav, page Reish Mem Vav. How is all of this encapsulated in the pasuk Vayakhel Moshe? This is what the Rebbe says. V'zeu Vayakhel Moshe kol hadas bnei Yisrael vayemer aleim ela advarim. This is the meaning of the pasuk, and Moshe gathered the entire congregation of the Jewish people, and he said to them, these are the things. Gomer. Hinei lamachas Yom Kippurim, for the day after Yom Kippur, kishlehutz l'chol ha'haser zuama. But they needed to remove the impurity which came into the world through the sin of the golden calf. Belief oil sheyiyah ha'olam kamei shehay b'tchil sabriya, and to affect the world to be in its state as it was in the beginning of creation, before the sin, before any sin, including the sin of the tree of knowledge, because Hashem created the world in a state of wholesomeness, meaning to say, completely pure. Hine Oz Vayakhel Moshe. So when Moshe Rabbeinu needed to teach them how to remove this impurity, Moshe Rabbeinu gathered them. Gomer. Vayomer, and he said, Gomer. Eila hadvarim Gomer. These are the things. Which things? It's a reference to the 39 actions which are mundane actions. Kidrashas Razal, as our sages teach in Gemara Shabbos, it says, Eila hadvarim. In the words Eila hadvarim, we find a hint for the 39. How do we know there are 39 actions? So Chazal say a hint for that is in these two words Eila hadvarim. Dvarim, things, plural. Minimum plural is how many? 2. Hadvarim, there's a hey. The hey adds what? Another one. It's just 3. And Eila, the numerical value of Eila is 36. So 36 plus 3 is how much? 39. This is a hint for the 39 malachas of Shabbos that we're prohibited to do, that we need to refrain from doing. So Eila lamates melachos. Dvarim hadvarim, Eila hadvarim, Eila lamates malachos. These are the 39 actions shenemru that were said by Hashem LaMoshe to Moses Misinai at Sinai. Shal yodam. What's the purpose of these? What are the purpose of these actions? Shal yodam poelim tachlas hakavon bebris v'shavos ha'elamis. They encapsulate within them how we affect the ultimate intended purpose of creation and the creation of all the worlds. What's the ultimate intended purpose of creation of all the worlds? That Hashem desired to have a dwelling place for Himself in the lowest realms. What is the lowest realm? The Hainu, the Rebbe spells it out. In this physical and material world, for there is no lower realm than this. The Rebbe explains why and how the ultimate intended purpose is in the lowest realm in our physical world. As the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, perhaps Hashem's intended purpose is in Atzilus. Who says it's in our physical world? So the Alter Rebbe says it's impossible to say that the intended purpose of making a dwelling place in the lowest realms is a reference to the higher realms, higher relative to ours, low relative to Hashem, but high relative to ours. So the Alter Rebbe says we can't say that that's the ultimate intended purpose. Why? So in what way would they be tachtonim? First of all, in what way would they be low? Because relative to the emanator, meaning who? Hashem, they too, including Elam Atzilus, is what? Also what? A low realm. So the Alter Rebbe says that we cannot say that the ultimate intended purpose of creation is there. Why? Hoyil v'lahem yerida me'er panav yizbarich. Being that they are a descent from Hashem's divine light. The Rebbe explains. For example, the realm of Atzilus, the world of emanation. What is the function of Elam Atzilus? What is the categorization of Elam Atzilus? Gilei Helam, the revelation of the concealed. So now you have Elam Atzilus in a state of concealment. In other words, Atzilus reveals that which is concealed. So when it is concealed, in a state of concealment, it is at a higher level. Because Seder Shtashlis is such that as the revelations are drawn down lower, as they come down lower, they become diminished. And because of that, it's impossible to say that the intended purpose in creation is in the realm of Atzilus. Why? Being that it is only in a state of descent. Yes, it's a tremendous revelation, but the revelation of Atzilus is a descent, is a lower level relative to the state as it was that preceded it. So what's the problem? And it cannot be that we should utilize that it should be utilized to utilize something higher for something lower. Hashem's intended purpose is for what? For something lower. Usually, when you want to achieve something greater. You can't say that I achieved less. You know, there's an old saying that so and so always aims for. He aims for mediocrity, and he usually is successful. So you can't say that that the Eibishter's intended purpose is what? To take a higher union and to make something lower. To take something which is greater, and from that there should be something lower. Ella. So what happens when we talk about Oil Mizbiyah, Bri Yitzira Asira? If you go along with this logic, then Bri Yitzira and Asira is even lower than Atzilus. So how does the logic work? It says the Rebbe, Ella Tachlisi B'Oil Mizbiyah. But rather the purpose is in the worlds of Bri Yitzira Asira. Or B'Biyah Gufa and Bri Yitzira Asira itself, B'Oil Mazah Gashmi V'Chumri. In this physical and material world. Shein Tachten Lamata Mimenu. A world where after which there is no lower world. B'Hainu. Why is that? Because in our world, because the descent in our world is for the purpose of an ascent. It's for the purpose of accomplishing something much greater. So that follows the logic that you diminish, you take something higher and you utilize it for what purpose? To attain something greater. Yes, there might be a descent, a necessary descent in the middle, but the ultimate purpose is that there should be an aliyah, an ascent. Because when the other side of Kedusha is bent, Hashem's divine light is revealed in all worlds. What does it mean? What is drawn down, what is revealed and what is drawn down? That aspect of Getlichkeit, of godliness, which is equal in all worlds. Ultimately, what are we talking about? The Hainu, the very essence of Hashem, right? Because when we talk about manifestations from Hashem, revelations of Hashem, those revelations necessarily are diminished as they are drawn down from realm to realm. Keniskal is mentioned before. Therefore, that divine energy is not equal in all worlds, because it depends on which realm it finds itself. In Atzilus, there's greater revelation of godliness. In our realm, there's lesser revelation of godliness. But that's all so far as we're talking about what? Hashem's manifestations, Hashem's revelations, as Hashem reveals Himself. But Hashem Himself, is equal in all worlds. And how do you draw down the very essence of Hashem? When we bend the other side of Kedusha, when we submit ourselves to Hashem and we serve Him in the appropriate manner. And where could we experience the idea of Iskafia Sitrachra, bending the other side of Kedusha? In a place where the other side of Kedusha exists. Where does that exist? It's specifically in our low physical world. And in more detail, where do we find this phenomena of what? Of Iskafia Sitrachra, the lowest realm? In this physical world, we have four kinds. The world is divided into four. Creation is sectioned into four aspects: the inanimate or the silent, the vegetable, the living, the human. The ultimate purpose of creation is in the lowest realm. What's the lowest realm? The silent, the inanimate. So how does it relate to the human being? If we are the ones that carry out the Rebbe, it would seem that what? If we are the ones that carry out Hashem's ultimate intended purpose of creation, it should seem that the elements should do that. So the Rebbe says something very interesting. The ultimate intended purpose of creation is therefore in the soul coming down into a physical body. Why? The creation of man's body is different than the creation of the body of any other creature. All other creatures, aside from the human being, were created in their fullness. In other words, Hashem created them as they are. For example, Hashem said there should be a bird, and the bird came into being. What came into being? The body of the bird and the life-giving force of the life-giving energy of the bird, all in one. It just appeared. Therefore, there's a relationship between their body and their soul. So in a sense, even though the bird is lower than the human, but in that sense, it's higher because the soul and the body were created as one. Masha'en came ba'adam ksiv, not so, but this is not the case concerning the human. Concerning the human, it says, the human being, it says, Gol miro einecha. My, how do you say goyim? Like a bust. Your eyes saw my form. The Amr Razal, the sages say, that first Hashem formed man as a goyim, as a shape, as the form of a body, and only afterwards he blew into the man a soul. I don't understand why the Rebbe has to bring the pasuk from Tehillim and the Rosh Razal. It's a Beferish pasuk. It says in Bereshis that what did Hashem do? He formed him. He took earth and he formed the body, and then he blew into his nostrils a breath of
unshaped form.
An unshaped form, right?
Unshaped form.
So maybe even more so unshaped. I'm not quite sure why the Rebbe has to bring this pasuk from Tehillim when it says in Chumash Bereshis in Bereshis in the Parsha that that's what Hashem did. He took earth
from the Golem, I suppose.
Yeah, and he formed him. Sorry.
The Golem is the same thing as Golem, is it?
Yeah. Golem. That's exactly the expression. Golem. Yeah. So, be that as it may, man was first an inanimate object. The body of the man is offer min adama. And only afterwards he blew into him a soul. Incidentally, that's why when a man behaves improperly, he's lower than the lowest creature. And if he does behave properly, he can be higher than the greatest angel. Why? Because the human being has these two extremes. On the one hand, he has offer min adama. That's why Odom is from the word Adama, which means earth, and it's also Odom from the expression of Adame. Adama le'elyon, man can be compared to God. Man has these two extremes. Ocher v'kedman satoni, man was created last and first. Last. Because, not only because he was created on the sixth day, the last creature, but also because he was created from the lowest element, on the one hand, and on the other hand, he has an neshama, which is higher. But be that as it may, in man, what do you have? You have the neshama, which comes down from above. For what purpose? To fulfill Hashem's intended purpose in creation, through the soul fusing with the body, which is made from the lowest of the realms, from Daimim. And it's specifically in this silent object, the body of the human being, that God's ultimate intended purpose in creation is fulfilled. Which is what? Hamshachas Atzmas, drawing down the very essence of Hashem. How do we accomplish this? How is this actually accomplished? The drawing down of Hashem's very essence is accomplished through the souls of the Yidden. Why? Because the souls are never separate from Hashem. The souls always remain united with Hashem. Everything else in creation was created how? B'dibur. With Hashem's, metaphorically speaking, with Hashem's speech, meaning to say from a lower level of godliness. Hashem said, let there be this and let there be that, and so on and so forth. The neshamas, the souls, all b'machshava, it says. It came up in Hashem's thought. They were created from Hashem's thought rather than His speech. Souls remain in the level of thought, meaning to say, what's thought? Thought is united with the person. You can't separate the thought from the person. So too, you can't separate Hashem's thought from Hashem. That's the metaphor. That's the.
This is in Bereshis Rabbah. What does it mean? The source that they created in.
Bereshis Rabbah is Medrash Rabbah. I think it's on the pasuk Nasa Adam. That when Hashem consults with the angels,
right.
I think it's there where he talks about Yisrael all machshava. But be that as it may, so we're talking about the souls coming from a higher level of godliness, from a place which is always united with Hashem. And in thought itself, it's at the highest level of thought. In thought itself, they went up. They came up in thought, meaning to say, they come from the highest levels of thought. The ad, to such an extension, that the soul is actually rooted in the very essence of Hashem. And Hashem, by virtue of the fact that Hashem knows Himself, He knows the souls. And because of the fact that He knows the souls by virtue of Him knowing Himself, in other words, bottom line, that the souls are inseparable from Hashem. Therefore, wherever the soul is, in any place in the chain order of creation, even when it's in the body of the person, the souls feel within the soul is felt, the consciousness of the soul is such that it feels, and this idea of Hashem knowing Himself. And the oneness of Hashem is always felt within the soul. Unlike anything else in Seder Ishtalshalus, in the chain order of creation, that as it descends, it diminishes. This aspect of the soul, feeling Hashem, and that it's part of Hashem, remains with the soul wherever it is in the state, wherever it is at any level in the chain order of creation, including as the soul comes into the body, even though we may not necessarily always be consciously aware of it. Therefore, souls are able to effectuate the drawing down of the very essence of Hashem. So that is the soul. Now, what are the tools that the soul uses to draw down the very essence of Hashem? And this drawing down of the very essence of Hashem is through the soul fulfilling the Torah when it's clothed in the body. Why? Because Torah is also rooted in the very essence of Hashem. If you remember, we learned in the Maimer, Lahavin in Simchas Torah, the Rebbe spoke about the fact that both Yidden and the Torah are rooted in the very essence of Hashem, but one is rooted in a way that it descends into the world and becomes part of the world and fuses with the world, which is the soul. Torah always remains slightly removed. And the Torah needs the human being, the soul, clothed in the body to fulfill it and through that to draw down the very essence of Hashem. When you have this two-pronged fusion of the soul and Torah, then through the fulfillment of the Torah, they draw down the very essence of Hashem into the body of the person, which is on its own a silent, inanimate being, and through that in all physical phenomena in the world. This is the reference to these are the things, as I mentioned before, that is a reference to the the 39 actions, which are mundane actions, which were prohibited to do on Shabbos, and we need to do during the week. Because the soul itself doesn't need any correction, any fixing. The soul was in a state of perfection before it came down into the body. So what's the purpose of the soul coming down? The purpose, the intention of the soul coming down here below is in order to refine the body, the animal soul, and the part of the world that has been designated for each person to bring to a state of perfection. And through this, we fulfill the ultimate intended purpose in creation, Hashem's ultimate intended purpose in creation, of making a dwelling place for Hashem Himself in this world. This is the meaning, these are the things that Hashem instructed for you to do. Tziva, Tziva is from the expression instruction, is from the expression of fusing and making as one. Bahainu, Shalideya is askos with Dvarim HaGashmim, through one's occupation, physical phenomena, physical matters. Last is to make a dwelling place for Hashem Himself in the lowest realms. We become tied and fused with the very essence of Hashem. That's the meaning of Eila Advarim. These are the things that Hashem instructed you to connect, to fuse the physical things, to fuse them with Hashem Himself. How? Through fulfilling Hashem's will.